The room was warm with the low hum of the hair dryer, the scent of your shampoo lingering in the air as you stood near the mirror, slowly running your fingers through your damp hair. You were relaxed, at least on the surface, wrapped in your own little bubble, until the unmistakable sound of the door opening snapped you out of it. You didn't even turn around when you realized it was Jungkook. His presence had become something you acknowledged without reacting to, a defense mechanism you had perfected over the past months. Get out, you said flatly, eyes still fixed on your reflection, your tone bored, detached, like his presence didn't matter enough to store anything inside you. Instead of leaving, he shut the door behind him. The click echoed far too loudly in the quiet room. No, he replied calmly, though there was tension threaded into his voice. I'm not leaving this time. You rolled your eyes, turning off the dryer and placing it on the table with deliberate slowness. I'm busy. Whatever you want, say it later. How long are you going to ignore me? He asked, stepping closer. It's been a month. Enough is enough. You shrugged, finally turning to face him, your expression unreadable. Ignore you? I didn't know acknowledging someone was mandatory. That nonchalance, so sharp, so effortless, hit him harder than an anger ever could. His jaw clenched as he studied your face, searching for something, anything, hurt, anger, even irritation. But you gave him nothing. That was when something snapped. In the blink of an eye, he crossed the distance between you and pressed you back against the wall. His arm braced beside your head. The suddenness stole the air from your lungs. Jungkook, you warned, voice low but steady. Step back. He leaned closer instead, his gaze dark, intense. What will you do if I don't? You swallowed, your heart betraying your calm as it began pounding against your ribs. This isn't funny. Leave. But he didn't listen. Instead, he dipped his head and kissed you. Firm, unapologetic, full of restrained frustration. Your eyes widened in shock, your body freezing for a split second. Yet you didn't push him away. You didn't pull back. Somewhere between surprise and formality. Your resistance dissolved into stillness, your fingers curling slightly at your sides as the moment stretched longer, longer than either of you expected. When he finally pulled away, his forehead rested lightly against yours, his breath uneven. Do you have any idea what you have done to me? He murmured. You became my mad addiction. You stared at him, stunned, words locked in your throat. I'm addicted to your presence, he continued quietly, to your voice, to the way you exist around me without fear. A bitter chuckle escaped him. Even Jimin noticed, said, I only stabilize when you're near. That finally cracked something in you, but you didn't let it show. Instead, you tilted your head slightly, a teasing smoke appearing on your lips. Wow, sounds serious. Should I start charging consultation fees? He laughed softly, shaking his head. You're impossible. Then his expression shifted, sincerity bleeding through. I'm sorry for that night, for everything I said. I was angry. But that doesn't excuse hurting you. You said nothing, just watched him. Your silence louder than any reply. After a moment, he straightened, the familiar cocky smoke returning to his lips as if to mask the vulnerability he had just revealed. Don't overthink it, he added lightly. I just wanted to make that clear. And with that, he turned and walked out, leaving you alone in the room, heart racing, cheeks burning, your reflection staring back at you like you didn't recognize yourself anymore. You pressed your palm against your chest, trying to steady your breath, utterly shocked and far too aware of how deeply he had just unsettled you. Time continued to move forward in a strange, uneven rhythm, as if the mansion itself had adjusted to the quiet chaos the two of you carried. Jungkook's cravings never truly disappeared, They simply transformed. Whenever the restlessness crept into his body, the familiar tightness in his chest, the phantom itch for a smoke, you became the instinctive destination. It happened in corridors, near windows, beside door frames. Moments so sudden they left you irritated and flustered at once. Outwardly, you remained stern, unimpressed, visibly annoyed at his lack of boundaries. Yet inside your pulse betrayed you every single time. Your cheeks warmed against your will, your thoughts scattered, and you hated how easily he could undo your composure without even trying. He seemed to take a dangerous amount of pleasure in that contradiction. Jungkook no longer cared about being monitored, no longer tolerated Yunjin or Yeonjun hovering over him like wardens. He acted as if their job has expired, as if his self-control had found a far more compelling substitute. You noticed it in the way he followed you around the mansion, in how his gaze lingered longer than necessary, in how his dependence shifted from substances to something far more personal. He teased relentlessly, testing your patience, pushing buttons he knew would spark irritation on the surface on and heat beneath it. Your visible frustration became his favorite proof that you were affected. No matter how much you denied it, from your perspective as his pulmonologist, the situation was far more terrifying than he ever acknowledged. You saw the damage the cancer had already done, the fragility beneath his arrogance, the way his lungs betrayed him even when his pride refused to. Every case he stole carried a double weight. On one hand, relief that he wasn't destroying himself with smoke or alcohol, and on the other, fear that he was replacing on one addiction with another. That could hurt just as deeply. You were trained to maintain distance, to draw lines between patient and self. Yet those lines blurred more with each passing day, worn thin by proximity and emotion. Your irritation became routine, almost performative, as if it were the only shield you had left. You told yourself he crossed boundaries, that he acted without consent, that his behavior was unfair and reckless. And all of that was true, but the unspoken truth lingered beneath every eye roll and every forced scoff. You never truly stopped him. The realization unsettled you more than his teasing ever could. It forced you to confront the uncomfortable truth. Uncomfortable truth that somewhere along the way concern had deepened into attachment, and attachment had begun to root itself where logic should have been. As days turned into weeks, the balance between control and chaos grew thinner. Jungkook treated your presence like a remedy, a craving suppressant, a temporary cure of something far more permanent. You, meanwhile, carried the weight of knowing his condition would not pause just because emotions had complicated everything. Between medical reports and stolen moments, irritation and warmth, professionalism and vulnerability, you found yourself standing in a space you had never intended to occupy. You were no longer just protecting his lungs, you were holding on to the part of him that still wanted to live, even if neither of you had the courage to say it out loud. The room was unusually quiet except for a faint rustle of clothes being folded and the soft zip of a suitcase sliding shut. You stood near the bed, moving on autopilot, your mind heavy with thoughts you hadn't yet gathered the courage to explain. The door suddenly flew open with a sharp sound that made you flinch. Jungkook stood there, chest rising rapidly, eyes dark and blazing as they locked onto the half-packed suitcase. "So this is it?" he snapped, his voice already loud, already shaking with anger. "You are leaving now, without even telling me?" You turned quickly, startled by the venom in his tone. "Jungkook, wait, listen to me first," you said, holding up a hand as you stepped closer. "You are misunderstanding everything." He let out a bitter laugh, pointing at the suitcase like it was a proof of betrayal. "Misunderstanding?" he scoffed. "You think I'm blind? You are packing. You are leaving the mansion, leaving me." That's not what this is. You insisted, your voice firm but worried as you noticed the tension in his shoulders. I'm not abandoning you. Please calm down. Your health. Don't talk to me about my health, he shouted, his voice echoing off the walls. You lecture me every day, control my life, kissing me back when I am losing my mind, and now you are just walking away like none of it mattered. Your eyes stung as you stepped closer, reaching out instinctively. Jungkook, stop yelling. You are getting worked up. Please sit down. You are starting to breathe heavily. He ignored you completely, his chest hitching as he paced the room like a caged animal. I knew it. He continued bitterly. I knew you would leave once you were done playing doctor, once I wasn't convenient anymore. That's not fair, you said, your voice breaking now. I would never do that to you. I'm leaving for a few days because the hospital board ordered it. I'm still your doctor. I'm still here for you. But he wasn't listening. His breathing turned uneven, his hand clutching at his chest as his anger spiraled into something far more dangerous. Liar, he muttered harshly. Everyone leaves me in the end. Jungkook, you said urgently, panic flooding your voice as you grabbed his arm. You're coughing. Please sit down. Look at me. He tried to speak again, but the words dissolved into a violent coughing fit. His body bent forward as harsh, painful coughs tore through his chest, each one sounding worse than the last. You held on to him. We are taking over completely. Stop talking. You cried, tears spilling freely now. Please breathe so slowly. Jungkook, please. Blood tinged his cuff, and before you could even scream for help, his knees buckled. Jungkook, you shouted as he collapsed, his weight going limp in your arms. You struggled to lower him to the floor, your hands shaking uncontrollably. No, 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 please wake up, you sobbed, cupping his face.